Hey everybody, D. Lisa West, the Dream Doula for Women. I help you remember your dreams and l let that intuition that bubbles up at night inform how you live your life during the day so it's fun and easy.
Wow, that's cool. Well, I'm Debbie Lynn, and I want to ask you all a question. Have you ever faced a moment that is so devastating that it shattered everything that you thought you knew about life, leadership, and purpose?
What a mic drop moment, Debbie. Yes, hasn't anyone? Hasn't everyone? Isn't that part of the human experience?
It
And aren't
is,
those the moments that really change it, our trajectory of we think we're going this way and then boom, we go somewhere else.
right. Well, let me share you a little bit of my journey. So,
Okay.
the reason I got into the work that I'm doing is because I had the unimaginable happen. So I had the loss of a child. He was 4 months old. And that heartbreak obviously could have ended me, you know. And I did go through a lot of different emotions. But what it did is it awakened me into a new passion and how I rose because number one, I had a daughter that I had to take care of at the same time. So now I try to become a catalyst of joy and teach people how to heal through those unimaginable life challenges and deep disruptions that we have.
Wow, Debbie, I'm sorry for your loss. And almost everyone I know personally who's lost a child, no matter what age, it it devastates them so much that it cracks them open. It cracks them maybe closed for a while they're grieving. And the grieving process is different for everyone. Maybe you never get over it.
Well, and I think in some ways you don't. And one of the things that happened to me is I stuffed it for 3 decades.
Mm.
Imagine that. I literally did not really grieve or understand what happened to me. I lost a job, and it wasn't because I couldn't do it. It was because the productivity wasn't there. I was in a fog. I was broken. So, but through all those experiences, I now realize that I have something where I can empower other women and other business owners.
So empowering people, even though they've had a shattering moment, a grief that they may or may not have processed, because life, being human is not easy. Lately, I've seen some memes that are so right on. It's like someone's got a clipboard and they're standing next to God and they're saying, "Okay, you're going back down. You're going to have another life." Oh, are you sure? Huh, gonna do that? Oh, you've been there before? Okay, bye. Because if you believe the concept that we came here and we already agreed to the experiences we're having to grow on a soul level, when we're in those experiences, we're like, I don't think I agreed to this. This is not what I want. This is not what I prefer. I remember just being so devastated, not because of a death, but a death of my marriage and thinking this is hard. And that people say you don't get anything so hard you can't deal with it. But I'm like, oh, this is harder than I want it to be. Really, really hard. And through crying and yelling and being like freaked out for years, now I'm so glad that I went through that.
And I think that's something that we have to all realize. And the way I look at things now is even through the tough moments, like even in what I'm going through now, it's like look at it as an opportunity. And it's kind of like, okay, Lord, what are you trying to teach me today?
Mhm.
And I also choose to live each day as a gift because honestly, it is. We don't know how long we have on this earth. And I feel like so many times when we go through life moments, a divorce, a job loss, financial strains, all of these things have different impacts on us, not just in your heart, but emotionally and mentally. And so it really is about mindset and thinking about how can I use what I'm going through to learn from it.
Yeah, that's a perfect way to get out of the oh poor me reality that you're in when things are happening. You think things are happening to you and you're a victim and it's so bad. And then if you switch it to, I wonder what I'm learning here, it's such a different experience. Mm.
It really is. And it can be quite empowering when you think about it. And, we're all human. And I'll admit, I mean, I've had those days where I just cried and I was like ready to give up, totally ready to give up. And I did at one moment. I mean, many years ago when after I lost my son, I tried to commit suicide because I didn't think I could raise a daughter. I had no skills. But as I went through the process, I ended up being okay and coming out on the other side. But, you know, I could have gone down the other path where it was poor me. And where would I be today?
Wow, you got dropped a couple bombs on us there, Debbie. So you've lost a child, you're a survivor of suicide, and we didn't mention that your mom's in hospice care right now. So you're still in the middle of a big storm, yet you're a badass woman because you're putting together a summit.
Thank you.
Tell us about the summit that's coming up and what kind of people are going to be talking on your summit.
So, what I'm doing is it's a business resilience summit. And what we're doing is we're talking about some of the things we talked about here, daily life struggles, and
Mm.
how it impacts productivity in the workplace for entrepreneurs, especially, and small businesses, because we're small teams, right? And in the end, our profitability. So that's the premise of the summit. And we've got various speakers who are speaking about different struggles in the workplace, how they can impact business, how they can help business. And so we're still looking for a few speakers, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Um, well, I know someone who could talk about dreams. If you don't sleep well, you can't work well. And when I was a real estate broker for many, many years, I was always interested in how do the top producers do what they do? And when one year, because everyone in real estate is self-employed, they have to make their own business. They have to hire their own staff. They have to make their own. They're the one person that does everything until they have a team. And so we had the top 10 agents in this office that I worked in do a panel discussion for us. And I asked them all the same questions. And the question was, what do you do to get business? That question blew my mind when they answered it because one guy said, I send out 10,000 pieces of mail every month. One
Oh,
guy says, I advertise on the this and this and that. One guy says, I don't do anything except when I need more business, I go into my office and I close the door and I have a recipe file box with 3x5 cards in it with names and numbers of previous clients and friends and relatives. I call up until I have 3 appointments. Then I leave my office. A woman said, I don't do anything. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Joni, you're in the top 10. You must do something. And she goes, well, I mean, I was at a baby shower the other day and somebody said, she's a real estate broker. And they went, oh, well, I'm selling my house. And that's how I got my last real estate listing. Another woman said, I'm driving around. And if someone pops into my head thinking about them, I call them on the phone. And almost all the time they say to me, wow, I was just thinking about you. I'm ready to buy or sell a house. And so all these things that people did to make their businesses amazing was different and specific to that person. And each of those ways and many others work. Isn't that fascinating?
It is. And I know even in my own business, I've gotten probably more from referrals or just talking to people and telling them what I'm doing.
Yeah,
And I think that's so powerful. And honestly, I think in some cases we need to go back to that
yeah,
because how many times do people really reach out to somebody? It's like, well, hey, I saw you here, I met you here. And how many people pick up the phone and call when it's so much easier? To me, I would much rather reach out to somebody and talk to somebody personally because you can learn so much more.
yeah, yeah. I think that's why social media that is video content is so powerful these days, is because you think you're talking to a specific person that you would like to do business with when you're talking in your social media videos. And it feels like they know you when they talk to you.
Yes, I agree 100%.
Yeah, yeah. Well, good for you for putting this summit together. Is this the first summit for you, or have you done multiples?
I've done different summits in the past, but I was mostly working with parents and
Hmm.
churches and funeral homes. Now I'm working more with entrepreneurs and small businesses because I want to show them how it relates to business. Because me as an employee, when I lost my job, it was because I didn't have the support. And I think that it's something that society really needs to change because if you think about it, when you lose someone, whether it be a child, a loved one, or whatever, most companies it's 3 to 5 days, and then you're supposed to be back at work being the same productive employee that you were.
Yeah,
And
3 to 5 days. That is ridiculous.
you can't be. You're broken. You're different.
Yeah. Yeah. Even years ago when I was still a real estate broker, my father died, and I remember I took a week off from work. Then I went back, and people would come, tell me something that 2 weeks before would have really upset me, and I'd be calling a lawyer and calling this person. And in my mind, I'm like, who cares? My dad is dead. I didn't care anymore. So obviously, I probably wasn't doing a very good job, but there should definitely be mental health care, coaching and counseling for grief and loss and all those things built into the systems where people have employees.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And even us as entrepreneurs, we need to, in the small teams that we have, we need to see the signs. We need
Yeah.
to understand how to ask questions. If you have a team member, and especially when they're side by side or you've been working with them and all of a sudden something seems off, and it could be minute.
Mm,
You want to ask questions, and that's our first sign. And that's something that we don't do even as entrepreneurs. We just keep going through the daily life, going through the process, and we're not paying attention to those who help us.
yeah. So beautifully put. So when something's off, you might just think, this guy's lazy, or this gal doesn't know what I asked her to do. Instead, maybe they have some serious troubles at home or in their life.
Exactly. And so we have to recognize that, and we need to provide more compassion, more empathy, and really more understanding. Maybe it's just they need, a couple of hours flexibility in their time because
Mm,
they are going through something. And it could be as simple as finances. There's so many things. And
Yeah.
honestly, we have more stress and more anxiety and more fear in today's society than ever before, with all of the world issues that we have going on today and that we're facing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, we've just barely come out of a worldwide pandemic. And if you look at the news, it's all bad. Although I subscribe to two good news channels, and I'm like, all right, I want to hear good news. Like some baby elephant was born somewhere, or some, there is good news out there, but that's not the news that gets fed to us day to day. It's like panic. What is the saying? If it bleeds, it leads.
Which is
And
sad.
it's it's tragic. It's tragic because not everyone wants to read about bleeding or something terrible about to blow up and get worried and scared. And there, if we could soothe people and let them
Mhm.
calm down and bring their brilliance to the world, I honor you for what you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes. So let's tell people, I'll tell people in the comments how they can go to your summit, how they can contact you if they get there early enough to be a speaker on your summit, and all the things, Debbie. So tell us now how they can find you.
Well, you can find me at friendsingrief.com.
Okay.
That is probably one of the best ways. And then for the summit, I will have to send you the link.
Okay. And we'll put it in the show notes. I so enjoyed our conversation today. Thanks for being on.
Yes, thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.
All right. Bye, everybody.